Honorable President Comrade Thirumavalavan, Comrades Sinthanai Selvan, D. Ravi Kumar, and other leaders and members of VCK, my esteemed fellow awardees, Comrade D. Raja, Comrade K. Balakrishnan, Mr. Appavu, Mrs. Thamal Aravanan, Mr. Mohan Gopal and Sri Rajendra Pal Gautam, comrades and friends. Vanakkam. A very good evening to you all. At a time when the Constitution of India is facing a relentless attack by the forces controlling the levers of the Indian state, when the battle for social equality and mobility is being sought to be systematically pushed back, and constitutionally empowered citizens of a free and diverse India are being subjected to fearful regimentation and hate-filled division, it is extremely humbling to receive an award in the name of Baba Sahib Ambedkar, the chief architect of India's constitution, who gave India's oppressed the clarion call of annihilation of caste. Thank you, comrades of VCK, for this pleasant surprise. In recent years, we have been seeing a welcome trend of coming closer among various streams of India's ongoing movement for social transformation. I sincerely hope that we can carry this forward to build powerful waves of anti-fascist resistance across the country. Dr. Ambedkar had given us not just the call of annihilation of caste, but he had also indicated ways that could take us forward in this direction. He rejected the idea that seeks to legitimize caste as division of labor. On the contrary, he called it division of laborers and insisted on uniting laborers or workers as an independent class. The glorious legacy of Independent Labour Party left behind by Dr. Ambedkar remains a treasure house of inspiration and insight in our continuing quest for social transformation, as does his contribution to working class rights achieved through his role as Labour member of the Executive Council. More than temple entry, he wanted equal access of the excluded people to all public resources. More than intercaste dining, he emphasized intercaste marriage to stop the reproduction of caste through endogamy and fought tirelessly to secure rights of women to make free choices in life. He introduced reservation as an affirmative action against a deeply entrenched social injustice and asked India's oppressed to move forward in life through the triad of education, agitation, and organization. Today, the right to reservation and education is facing a renewed attack. Subversion of reservation, privatization of education, and casualization of jobs are a trident directed against India's oppressed and deprived poor to stop the onward march of social mobility and equality. On my way to Chennai, I had a day's halt in Nagpur and I visited Diksha Bhumi. The mass embracing of Buddhism by Dr. Ambedkar and his followers just a couple of months before his death was a huge social protest against caste oppression. A mass rejection of Vedic scriptures and an emphatic collective exercise of the constitutional right to choose one's religion, and it happened right in the ideological capital of Manuvad and Indian fascism. Right at the time of adoption of India's constitution, Dr. Ambedkar issued a set of very clear warnings. He told us not to be complacent with the introduction of universal adult franchise, but to fight hard against economic and social inequality, which, if not checked, would render the equality of vote meaningless. For Dr. Ambedkar, liberty, equality, and fraternity represented an integral package, and which alone could put an end to the stigma of the caste system. Today, while Dalits experience renewed exclusion on different levels, Muslims subjected to outright marginalization and ghettoization are emerging as India's new Dalits, even as Christians too faced increased prejudices and even violent attacks in many parts of India. Baba Sahib warned us against the cult of Bhakti in politics, which could only be a sure way of democracy's degeneration and descent into dictatorship. Today, this Bhakti cult is overshadowing India's entire system of knowledge and information dissemination. Above all, Baba Sahib Ambedkar had given us the sharpest warning against letting Hindu Raj become a reality in India. He termed it the greatest calamity that could fall upon India and asked us to prevent it at all costs. Today, while we have assembled here in Chennai, a new parliament building built at great cost to India's exchequer at a time when the people of India were reeling under the pandemic has been inaugurated by India's megalomaniac Prime Minister in a brazen travesty of constitutional spirit and propriety. The Sangh BJP establishment claims credit for giving India her first Adivasi president, preceded by a Dalit president. But when the time came for the laying of foundation or inauguration of the new parliament building, the two presidents have been denied their constitutional due. We cannot miss the fact that the new parliament building and its inauguration are loaded with anti-democratic, anti-republican symbolism. When the inauguration of an abode of democracy in a secular republic resembles the coronation of a king in a monarchy, there is something evidently and seriously wrong with it. It marks a clear negation of the very spirit and vision enunciated in the preamble to our constitution. Only the other day, the apex court had affirmed the administrative powers of the elected government of Delhi and asked the central government not to intrude into the federal rights of the Delhi government through the office of the LG. But the executive has declared a war on the judiciary and on the federal framework of India's constitutional democracy by issuing an ordinance to nullify the verdict of the Supreme Court Constitution Bench. It is time we, the people of India, woke up to the threat of the greatest calamity that Dr. Ambedkar had warned us against. We have a disaster to defeat and a dream to win. The dream of a modern India free of exploitation and oppression, for which our freedom fighters and great martyrs had sacrificed their all. I humbly accept this year's Ambedkar Sudhar Award on behalf of the CPIML and the Revolutionary Communist Camp of India, and rededicate myself to the mission of annihilation of caste and transformation of India into a robust democracy, staunchly secular, vibrantly diverse, and genuinely socialist. Thank you all. Inqilab Zindabad.